I now recognize Representative Bentz for 5 minutes on H.R. 10082.
Thank you, Chair Tiffany, for hearing this important bill. H.R. 10082 is the culmination of 5 years of work, hundreds of hours of discussion, argument, negotiation, community meetings, and ultimately collaboration between tribes, environmental groups, hunters, ranchers, county leaders, and Congress. This bill directly involves about 3 million of the 4 million acres of federal land located in my home county, Malheur County, Oregon. Malheur County is bordered by Idaho on the east and Nevada on the south. This is a high desert area. The only substantial stream in the south part of this county is the Owyhee River, which enters Oregon from Idaho and continues north across 150 miles of Malheur County. It flows in the bottom of very deep rimrock-lined canyons through remote and isolated areas. It has been said that the only way a cow can reach this river is with a parachute, and as you can see from these pictures, there is a substantial truth to this statement. Most of the length of that part of the Owyhee River in Oregon was designated scenic and wild in 1984. I share this to emphasize, contrary to the pearl-clutching testimony we will hear from a witness today, this area is already protected over and over again by layer upon layer of federal law, including the Scenic River Act, the Tailored Grazing Act, the Endangered Species Act, FLPMA, the Archaeological Resources Act, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, and NEPA, to mention not all of them. But even with these protections, environmental groups and Portland-based recreational shoe and clothing companies began to lobby for a monument covering most of the southern third of the county, even though only a small fraction of this area contains the river. In 2015, the Obama administration seriously considered establishing a 2.5 million acre monument, almost half of Malheur County. This concept was met with almost unanimous local opposition. Why? Because local people know that the Boise Valley, with 900,000 people, is immediately adjacent, and that such a designation would attract thousands more people into that fragile environment. Local people know that a monument would not be as protective of the land as would be a wilderness designation. Oregon people know, as they watch restrictive actions being taken on other monuments, such as Bears Ears and Cascade Siskiyou, that the ability of local communities to take care of the land is dramatically reduced when the driving force is an executive action rather than a collaborative, cooperative, carefully designed, community-driven effort such as that which results in this bill. Thankfully, the monument designation did not occur, but in response to this unfortunate possibility, concerned citizens formed the Owyhee Basin Stewardship Council, a member who joins us today, for the purpose of protecting the Owyhee Canyon area and local communities and to improve management of the land. 5 years ago, this group reached out to Senator Wyden for help. Since that time, the senator has been working closely with the council, as have I, and consistent with shared goals, he introduced Senate Bill S-1890, which bill was heard last December in the Senate Energy and Natural Resource Committee. The senator's bill converts 1.2 million acres into permanent wilderness, releases WSA land not included in wilderness, and protects grazing. Complicating matters, however, as these discussions were ongoing, the BLM issued a new resource management plan, which is reflected in this exhibit. It was anticipated by the senator's negotiating team and the OBSC that the resource management plan would have to be redone if agreement was reached regarding creation of wilderness. The bill we're discussing today incorporates provisions found in the Wyden bill and is based upon dozens of conversations with members of the local group. If passed, my bill would do the following: designate some 924,000 acres of already restricted land and withdrawn land as permanent wilderness. It would designate an additional 41,000 acres in 2 special management areas which would be managed as though wilderness. It would protect access to allow control of wildfire, suppression of weeds, and conduct of livestock operations. It would redesignate 1.3 million acres, now designated in the range management plan as land for other resources, and WSA lands as multiple use lands. It would provide a means of grazing flexibility to reduce fire hazards. It would protect future access to and use of the lands for invasive species eradication, fire suppression, and livestock production. It would substantially avoid restrictions on those areas in the county that are known to contain vast amounts of lithium. As this exhibit shows, following redesignation and enactment of this bill and the establishment of wilderness, the revised land management areas would look like the exhibit on my left. The bill's creation of almost 1 million acres of permanent wilderness while returning approximately 1.3 million acres of BLM lands to multiple use furthers the BLM's mission, as defined in FLPMA, to manage public lands for multiple uses while conserving natural, historical, and cultural resources. This bill contains a conveyance of some 30,000 acres to the Burns Paiute Tribe and Trust, a portion of which is known as Castle Rock, an important cultural geographic feature to the tribe. Adding urgency to this bill is the fact that over the past year, many of the same groups that have wanted to impose a monument on this land have been lobbying Senator Wyden and I assume the White House for a presidential proclamation establishing in Malheur County at least a 1 million-acre monument, similar to that considered by the Obama administration. Such an action would fly in the face of years of effort by the local community, would destroy the land transfers to the Burns Paiute tribe, the considerable efforts of Senator Wyden, and the protection built into this legislation of land and communities. Such a result would be a travesty. I thank you, and I would appreciate your positive consideration of this bill.